Hello, everybody, and welcome to the start of a brand new franchise mode series right here on the second channel. Again, the new exclusive home for my franchise mode stuff as I try to turn that main channel into something a little bit different. Still more of the same, but still a little bit different. As you can tell by the thumbnail and the title, in this series, we will be using the Boston Bruins, my favorite hockey team, as I'm sure most of you watching this happen to know. Now, I do have to explain a couple of things. This is primarily going to be a setup episode. The roster is set for this season. Computer trades have been turned off to kind of preserve this season playing out with the rosters as they are. And then in that first off season is when we really take over. The first thing I have to mention is that this is coming out alongside a roster update. The video for that is on my main channel. And like you may have just seen there, and like you will see throughout all of this, you are likely to see some overalls and potentials that you disagree with. Worth noting, by the way, for the first time in a long time, I'm playing with morale off to see if that'll help the AI not be so abysmal at managing their rosters. Fingers crossed. I don't recommend holding your breath on that. You will see overalls and potentials and such that you disagree with, and that is perfectly okay. It's fine. It's going to be all right. If you download my rosters on Series S/X, you can change whatever you want to. If you disagree with some of the stuff, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to agree with the method and formula that I use. You don't have to agree with the final results, the idea of the process in general. You don't have to agree with any of it, but you are wasting your time if you're going to try to convince me to change something otherwise because of the eye test or because of this or because of that. The ratings are what they are. Learn to love it, learn to live with it, or don't. Go watch somebody else's series that might be more for you. Might I shout out my good buddy, Mr. Sin for the Win. Of course, he is the co-host on the Tougie podcast. That'd be CYN FTW Productions right here on YouTube. He does franchise mode stuff as well. Go check him out. There are plenty of other great creators. Deke Slayer as well, uploading his own franchise stuff. There are plenty of people to support if arbitrary overall ratings are going to bother you that much. If you want more of an explanation, go check out that roster editing and roster loaded video, and you will get all the details that you need. Okay? Cool. Now, the elephant in the room for people that watch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Tougie24, by the way, the elephant in the room, of course, is that this is the second time in 3 days I am starting a franchise with the Boston Bruins. We made it through our second season. I saved, and it didn't save. Nothing saved. We, on that first night, simmed up to the draft. And actually, to the beginning of Season 2, we saved, and then we, tried to come back, and it was gone. So that is the big elephant in the room, is that I am having to redo this. I was, greatly considering switching up what I was doing. The big debate for me was what team did I want to use, and it came down to two. The New York Islanders for their horrific decision-making in terms of firing one of the best head coaches in the league, that, of course, being Barry Trotz. The idea behind that is, hey, let's fire the guy who really should have been fired in the form of Lou Lamoriello and take over the team. And then there's the Bruins. Now, I had the idea of using the Bruins when they were still down 2-0 to Carolina because it looked like they were going to get embarrassed in that series. And while they didn't get embarrassed in the series, I still stand by my viewpoint that I've shared on social media, on the podcast, here on YouTube. Don Sweeney needs to go as the general manager of the Boston Bruins. So that is what this series is. We are taking over. Don Sweeney is gone. And unlike Don Sweeney, when we see that there is a problem with the team, no offensive reinforcements at the trade deadline, when we see that there is a problem with the team, we're going to actually address it. Can you believe that? So prepare yourselves. There will be a lot of pot shots at Don Sweeney. As a Bruins fan, I was just happened to be done with him. That's the best way to phrase it. Can you tell I'm trying to be nice? I'm very much trying to be nice. And man, despite lowering the injuries, we have had 1,000 injuries here. Good Lord. So again, this first season, no changes to any teams except for potential waiver claims and maybe some random free agent signings. And then that next offseason, this upcoming offseason, will take over. It doesn't matter if the team wins the Stanley Cup. Here in the sim, we will see what happens. Although I don't know if they're going to be winning anything based off of these injuries. I lowered the injury slider to 15. Normally I run it on 19. Apparently 15 results in half of the team falling apart. Good to know. Very, very good to know. Good Lord. Pasternak's hurt. I don't really see why I'd have to call somebody else up, and I don't have to, so there you go. Again, we'll just go best lines until we know the team is back to 100%. In terms of rules for this series, aside from obviously this first season playing out as it is, we're not going to go extremely rule heavy as we've done with Carolina in the past. You know, the wheel spin for no trade clauses, stuff like that. I don't mind doing that. It makes it really fun. At the same time, this game mode is challenging enough because of the problems that EA have not fixed. It's challenging enough to enjoy without the extra added challenge, if you get what I mean. But we are going to try to do the same thing of not jipping the AI out of top players. That's why I turned the morale system off, because again, the AI is horrible at managing their players. I believe I actually went to start with the Islanders. I went best lines. It put Matt Barzal on the fourth line because that's where he was the best fit. Stuff like that. It's a mess in terms of how the AI builds their teams and then prioritizes scheme fit over everything else. So we do have a bit of a challenge. We just don't have that big of a challenge of, you know, having to worry about the wheel spins and stuff like that. But we are going to try to play people in their proper positions. We are as well going to try to play people within their proper roles. That is the goal here, the challenge for us in terms of team building and what we're going to look to do. My God, the Tampa Bay Lightning. This Bruins team is terrible. All the more reason as to why, yeah, we need to blow them the hell up. Maybe not blow them the hell up, but we'll talk more about the future, the vision for this team here. But I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to mention. You know, what the rosters are, whether you agree or disagree, the fact that I started this and it should have been, episode 1 should have been uploaded yesterday. But again, we lost the series file, and it turned out to be a good thing that I didn't upload episode 1 yesterday, because I would have had to pull it, and this would have been episode 1 anyway. You know, it's one of those things where at the start of a video like this, I'm like, okay, did I cover everything? I think I covered everything. But this first season, complete throwaway for us. I had the scoring set to be a little bit low. I think I had shots low, scoring medium. And as you can tell, I don't really think the outcome of that is going to be exactly what we were hoping for. We'll see what the results are as we look around the league here and to see if scoring's in a good spot. And it's not at all. So we will be bumping up the scoring here as well. Again, very, very difficult, if not outright impossible, to find the perfect balance in terms of the sim engine and how that works. You're never going to find a consistent result when it comes to getting what we saw in the real-life season this past year to be perfectly replicated in franchise. It's so far removed from how you think the sim should work. For example, Dan Vladar having that save percentage that he did. Matt Murray having that save percentage that he did. Peter Mrazek only retains an 82 overall because of what he did prior to getting to Toronto. But, you know, the Vezina winner, I mean, is going to be Vasilevsky at a 926. You know? So it's another one of those things. Trevor Zegras likely didn't win the Calder. I think it might go to Evan Bouchard because of the plus-minus. Time will tell. Maybe even a good shout for Matt Boldy. The AI, again, does value plus-minus quite heavily. But, yeah, that's a look at what happened in Season 1. We'll see. We'll give you guys a look here at the bracket for year one, as I sit here and contemplate whether or not I did explain everything that I wanted to do. But it was definitely a big source of frustration, to lose what we had already done. But when debating the Islanders and replacing Lou Lamoriello or the Bruins and replacing Don Sweeney, even though we had to start over, there was only one answer. It's something I've talked about a lot on YouTube and on the podcast specifically. I genuinely believe it's the right move for the Bruins to move on from Don Sweeney. So who better to take over than me? Who better? We're going to do it right. And I will say, too, for those of you that are like, hey, when are you going to do another Draft to Glory, Nations United? All that stuff's still going to be here. It's been that, we had the Flyers series going on for a while, and then it's been the interesting thing of, changing things up with the channel a little bit, wanting to kind of move in a certain direction now. Let's go medium, and then we'll keep the draft class stuff on low for the first couple of years. Did want to mention with the roster update as well, still have a lot of AHL edits and junior edits to come as well as we get closer to the draft, so keep that in mind. This was primarily for a roster update, big on the NHL itself, the end of season updates. As we'll see what happens here. Providence again, just everybody falling apart. I guess they're going to be moving on, which is pretty nice. As Jackashan is back from injury, still one of my favorite names. I was very disappointed to learn it wasn't Jackakan, which just was very fun to say. Not that Jackashan is not. Look at that. The Providence Bruins make the Calder Cup final in Season 1. Not a bad way to go about it. We'll see if they can get the win, and maybe we start off this season, this franchise series, with a little bit of silverware. And we cannot complete the sweep. Can we win it in Game 5? Oh, God, don't choke this. Okay, they won it in 6. So the Providence Bruins, despite not being one of the top seeds in the Atlantic Division, get the job done. Providence winning it in the Calder Cup final. Vegas is going to make the Stanley Cup final against Philadelphia. All right, let's see who wins the Stanley Cup in year one. The first time we simmed this, it was Tampa completing the three-peat. And there you go, the Philadelphia Flyers have won the Stanley Cup. Interesting. I mean, on paper, their roster isn't, well, at least it was at a point. Now it's getting to be a little bit rough. But the Flyers roster on paper, perennial underperformers. It'd be nice to get a half-decent coach in there, I would say. That would certainly help. But shout out to Scott Lawton, who put up points. Noah Cates, who was very, very solid for the Flyers in the dozen or so games that he got to play for them. But this is the perfect example. You never know what you're going to get out of a franchise mode sim. They did it with an injured Ryan Ellis as well. Shout out to Rasmus Ristolainen, Stanley Cup winner, as is Carter Hart. In terms of the end of season awards, let's see. Kucherov, of course, won the Art Ross, as well as the Hart. Hedman wins another Norris. Calder did go to Evan Bouchard. Conn Smythe to Sean Couturier, the Vezina to Andrei Vasilevsky. Let's see, Jack Adams went to Phillies coach. Selke to Austin Matthews. Ted Lindsay to Kucherov, and the Rocket Richard to Connor McDavid. In the AHL, Evan Barrett scored the most points. He was also league MVP. Chris Terry scored the most goals. Bobby Brink was the top rookie. Casey Fitzgerald, I do believe, was the top defenseman. Dustin Tokarski, the top goaltender. And the MVP of the playoffs, goaltender Troy Grosnick. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. You'll love to see it. So, with everything kind of recapped now, right? I'll reiterate one more time. We talked about the ratings, the series that was lost, kind of the rules and general goal of this series, the guidelines that we have. We are officially at the point where we're going to take over. IRL for the Bruins right now, there is one question and one question only. Is Patrice Bergeron retiring, or is Patrice Bergeron staying? That is the question of all questions. And we do have some people that we could look to re-sign here. But no doubt about it, Patrice Bergeron is the top target. He is looking for nothing, because that is the type of man he is. To sit there and take a team-friendly deal to try and win it. I will give him exactly what he is asking for, and hopefully, maybe, possibly, potentially, the captain of the Bruins will elect to stay as the Seattle Kraken win the draft lottery. They will have the number 1 pick. We'll have the 5th overall pick in this draft, which is absolutely shocking, and there it is. So Bergeron is sticking around, and if he doesn't in real life, I will cry a river of tears. In terms of everybody else, we're going to worry about them a little bit later on after the draft, and once we kind of get a look at what's coming up for the rest of this team. But for now, we'll leave it here, and we will pick things up tomorrow with the continuation heading into Season 2 and seeing what this team is capable of. If you have any questions, feel like there was something that I forgot to mention, because I certainly do, let me know down in the comments below. Again, thank you as well for coming over to the second channel, for supporting this second channel. You know, I've mentioned the first channel quite a bit, and again, recent videos that are out there. We have the Gretzky 05 retrospective. We had the video as well from last week, the 5 NHL teams to never make a Stanley Cup final. And again, my EA versus 2K series is back as well. The most recent video was comparing NHL 2002 to NHL 2K2. So make sure to check all of that out if you have not already done so. I think it's some of the better work that has been done in the history of my channel, and that's kind of the emphasis towards moving franchise mode stuff over here. Is I stand by those type of videos. I really enjoy making those, but if I have daily franchise mode content, they just kind of get buried and don't get seen. I want to get more eyes on stuff like that, so check it out as well, again, if you haven't already. But of course, franchise mode stuff is going nowhere. No matter what shape this mode is in, I will always try to make the best of it. The roster update's out on Series S, Series X, and with that, I will see you guys later. Thank you very much for watching once again. I'll catch you next time.